Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to day 2. I am popping on here just a moment early to get everything set up in here, make sure that we're doing well connecting with Facebook. Hey, Teresa. So good to see you again. Welcome back. Hey, Paige. How are you? And we got Nancy joining us. So while you're waiting, if you're in the Facebook group, do me a favor, pop in the chat inside of Facebook, or if you're here on Zoom with me, just let me know, where are you listening from? I would love to know where everybody is. We've got people all over the world. In the past, we've had people from Italy and Australia and Africa and Ireland. It's been so much fun. So just let me know where you're popping in here from. Hey, Nancy, welcome. Glad to have you. So if you're in the Facebook group right now and you would like to come into the Zoom room, I would love to have you. So we've got Teresa's from Texas, Montgomery, Texas. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. Let's see, we've got Miss Tavia popping in here. And I would love to circle back around and say hello. Paige, where are you? Which state are you coming from?
Missouri.
Missouri. Oh, you put that in there, Fulton, Missouri. Sorry, I missed that. Hey, Tavia. Welcome back, darling. So glad to see you.
Hello, my love.
Yay. Where are you popping in from? What state?
I'm in Washington State.
Washington State. Okay, cool. So we've got Texas, we've got Missouri, we've got Washington State. What about you, Nancy? Where are you coming in from?
I'm calling from Eugene, Oregon.
Oregon, fantastic. We've got East Coast, we've got West Coast, we've got middle of the country. I love it, love it, love it. Cool. So we're just going to take a few moments, let people kind of pop in here. There's Miss Marianne. How are you? Welcome back. I get to see your face today.
Yep.
Yay. Cool. All right, guys, we are going to dive in. I'm going to go ahead and get started. There's Miss Lucy. For those of you that still need the workbook, go ahead and pop in the chat if you need the workbook. If you've registered and you still don't have the workbook, pop it in the chat so we can make sure that you get the action guide. And a lot of times it ends up in spam, right? So when you register for an event, it tends to kind of send things to spam if it's not a normal place that you're communicating or a normal email that you regularly communicate with. So, all right, we're diving in. We had a huge day yesterday. It was so much fun. We dialed in all about Ideal Client. And you guys had amazing questions. It was so much fun to support you in this. Why do we start with Ideal Client? Because if we don't know who it is that we're looking for, we can't find them, right? Like if we want to find out where ideal clients are, we need to know who they are. Then once we know who they are, now we can dive into today, which is all about where to actually find our paying clients. So this is going to be super juicy today. By the way, all of this is going to be recorded. It is recorded. It's being live streamed into the Facebook group. So from now until the end of the week, you can watch these replays. If you want to go back and rewatch something about Ideal Client, or if you missed yesterday and need to watch, not a problem. Go into the Facebook group. It's Build a Six-Figure Business for Conscious Coaches and Wellness Professionals. There is a little tab at the very top of the group that says Guides. Click on Guides, and the very first guide that pops up is where to find paying clients in any economy. That is where we're going to keep all of the replays. So it will be labeled day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and also the Ask Me Anything call. So you can find anything that you need inside of there. We also have the link to register if you want to share it with anybody. So if what you're hearing is like, oh my gosh, I have my friend Sally and she would totally love hearing this information, feel free to share the registration link. That way we can at least get her the action guide and she can be invited into the Facebook group and access the replay. So I really want this to be fully supported and supportive to you, as well as to anybody else who needs this information. All right, so where to find paying clients? This is, I know what you guys are like. Let me just get into the practical. Let's get into the juicy stuff. I'm going to share my screen with you so that those of you who don't have your workbook printed, you can take a look at what I'm going to be talking about today. So day 2 is all about where to find your ideal clients. And we're going to talk about some very, very specific questions based on who your ideal client is. Again, we have to know who she is, more than just what niche you're in, but we really want to know what is your ideal client specifically. What is she like? What is she looking for? What are some problems she's struggling with? What are some solutions that she's looking for? Because the answers to all of those questions are really going to help us understand where she's hanging out and where to find her. The truth is she's everywhere, but depending on an ideal client, it's going to put us in the room where you're most likely to find her. So I'm going to kind of explain what this bullseye means, and then we're going to dive into some questions today that you can ask yourself to help you uncover even more specifically on where you can find her. So the first inner part of the bullseye, and this is where I want everybody to start, is who do you know? As a matter of fact, when I connect or collaborate with other partners in the world, whether they're acupuncturists, whether they're chiropractors, whether they're copywriters or mindset coaches, I always start with who I know. So your ideal clients, I want you to start with, who is it that you know? Who might be able to be supported? Who is struggling with a problem that you can support them in? Think about your friends, think about your family, and think about anybody also inside maybe some groups that you personally are hanging out in. So for example, all of you here with what it is that you're sharing have got ideal clients sitting right in this room. There are people right here now that you could support because they've got a problem that you can help them with. It's just that they don't know about you yet. So most of our problem, if we don't have paying clients right now, it's not for lack of trying. It's not for lack of willpower. It's not for lack of desire. It's actually for lack of visibility, which means that we want to be visible in front of our ideal client. So we need to understand, out of your personal connections, out of the people that you know, who could you support and how could you be more visible with them? Then we're going to go to the outer ring. And this is where we take a look at, who do you know that could help you get in front of your ideal client? So this is personal network connections. So for example, I actually just got to meet my husband's boss's wife. We went to a gala, and she just so happens to be a national trainer for his company. And she said, you know, we actually want to start putting together a specific program that will link wellness and also sleeping better. So this was somebody who was a 1% connection to me. My husband was personal connection. She was a 1% connection. So we all have people, we just don't know it yet. We all have people that are in our personal networks. So think and ask the question, who do you know that could help you create more visibility or get into a room where your ideal clients might be hanging out? I also think about personal network connections, such as doctors, chiropractors, holistic practitioners, massage therapists that I personally use, right? So for example, my massage therapist, she may have other massage therapists or coaching friends that might need support building their wellness businesses. So she is a 1% connection. She's my personal connection, but she's going to put me in touch with a 1% connection. Make sense? We have so many more of these personal connections and 1% connections than we realize. We just have to start thinking in terms of who could help me get in front of my ideal client. The next bullseye are programs that you love connections. So for example, many of my clients inside of Six Figure Foundations or Activate Abundance, they're in that program, they're taking that program, and many of my clients actually serve each other in there. So it's really, really cool. Think about the programs that you love that you're in. Some of you are inside of Thought Leader Academy. Some of you might be inside of other coaching or learning a different modality, right? Some of you might be in other components or networking groups, right? So that means that you are in another room, another community where you can start creating connections that are also going to help you get in front of your ideal client. And then the last place I want you to think about is a universal connection. So these would be things that you research. So these would be rooms, for example, are there any conferences that you could go to that where your ideal client might be hanging out? Right? Are there other places or organizations or places to go where you could actually just get in the room where connections or your ideal client might be? So when we take a look at this from the inside out, we can see that our ideal clients really are everywhere. And so I want you to ask yourself, what piece of this bullseye do you feel that you've got the biggest opportunity for growth? Do you feel that you've got actually more personal connections? And when I think about personal connections, this is where I think of like my love list, right? Who's in my hot or warm audience that I've already had some sort of connection with? So that would be a love list. Those would be people that are in my world, in my ecosystem right now. All of you are personal connections. You wouldn't be here in this room learning about where to find paying clients if there wasn't some sort of personal connection that brought you into this room. Okay. Anybody that you know, like if you had a friend or a coach or a wellness entrepreneur that wanted to learn how to build their business, they would be a 1% connection to me. So I just want to explain a little bit more where you can see that you've got an opportunity for growth to get in front of your ideal client. This is why it's really, really important for us to understand who she is, right? Because once we understand who she is, then we can ask ourselves, well, who else might support her in a different way that I do? Or what other room might she be hanging out? What other Facebook groups might she be hanging out in? What other communities is she hanging out in? Maybe she goes to take yoga classes. Maybe she does meditation classes. Maybe she takes Pure Barre or Orange Theory classes. Maybe she goes to your church. There are multiple places where your ideal client is hanging out right now that fall into the personal connection, the 1% connection, the community connection, and then the places that you research connection. Is this landing for you guys? If this is landing, I want you to put yes in the chat, whether you are joining me in Facebook or you're on Zoom. Just let me know what is popping up for here. Yeah, Paige said Rise Leadership Circle. Excellent. Yeah. Thought Leader Academy. Absolutely. Yeah. The Facebook group that you're in, Build a Six-Figure Business for Conscious Coaches and Wellness Professionals. That would be a personal connection or a 1% connection, right? The 1% would be, this is my group. And yet you can absolutely connect with people there just to say hi or hey, or find connection or even collaboration partners. So here's what I want you to think about. There's actually two main levers that you are going to pull to create income in your business. Everybody needs to do some sort, boy, we've got lots of people popping in here late. Everybody needs some sort of way that you are going to be creating your visibility and market and to get in front of paying clients. Now, there are two ways that we market. One is organically, and organically just means that we are doing it on our own. We're not paying for ads. We are connecting, we're building collaborations, and we are networking. Okay, so that would be an organic way of building our business. Hang on just a minute. Let me stop the share just for a moment so I can get our people that are waiting in the waiting room. Yeah, okay, great. So the second thing is, who do we know? So leveraging other people's audiences. That is the second lever that we want to pay. When we're talking about organic marketing, there's work that we do on our own, and then there's people that we know that can help us get in front of their ideal client. When I was building my nutritional therapy and my health coaching business, the collaboration partners were those people. That's where I would go to a chiropractor or a holistic practitioner, integrative doctor, even digestive associates, and do a talk. They promoted me to their audience. So the heavy lifting was off my shoulders with that lever. Then it's also my responsibility to be visible where my ideal client is, either in person or online, right? So in the digital world, we do want to make sure that we have a personal presence online so that people can actually find us and see us. That's not the only way, right? Marketing and sales happened before Facebook came along, before TikTok and Instagram and social media. Absolutely. We just know that today it's actually a lot easier to create visibility without having to pay for ads, right? Previously, there was direct marketing and there was ads and there was print and there was magazines and there was, the stuff that we still get in our mail today, right? Coupons and things like that. The good news is that today we actually don't have to rely on all of that, but that we want to actually do both. We want to do things online, we want to do things in person, and we also want to make sure that we personally are getting in the rooms, reaching out, creating those personal connections, and then asking ourselves, who can we connect or collaborate with that can introduce me to their audience? Okay, and that is actually, those are two things that you want to do all the time, right? So when we think about a marketing plan, right, until you are at, well, you're always going to be marketing and you're always going to be working on your sales system, right? So there's three things that I work on with my client. One is mindset, always mindset, and then marketing and sales on repeat. So we want to make sure that we are visible, and that is, marketing is just sharing our message. That's all it is. And sales is, how are you then inviting somebody to work with you? We're actually going to talk about creating invitations on day 4 so that you can feel confident about that. So let's see, we've got some more chat popping up here. New message, publishing related articles on Medium. Yep. Absolutely, Paige. That's another way. That would be places you research or programs you love, right? So if there is a magazine that you read, then you could, or, a podcast that you follow, or a digital magazine, that could be programs you love. And that's where you could also create connections. So where to find clients? This is really where we want to dive in and think about, the answers to these questions are going to uncover specifically where you're going to find your ideal client. So where do they congregate? Where do they go when they leave their house in person, right? Maybe they're going down to the local, paint and wine place. Maybe they hang out and they go to church every Sunday. Maybe they're, going to specific events. So ask yourself, where is it that your ideal client specifically congregates? And if you're unsure, I want to remind you that your ideal client is a previous version of you. So chances are she is probably hanging out in some places that either you're currently hanging out in now, or maybe places that you used to hang out in. Right. So I'll give you an example. For me, I used to do yoga, and I used to go to a local yoga center, and I also used to do Pure Barre. And so that is actually where many of my clients, because I was a health coach and a nutritionist, right? They were interested in health and wellness, and they were there too. And so I went to the owners of both Pure Barre and the yoga studio, and I said, hey, would it be okay if I gave a talk to your community? And I did a talk and invited people to work with me, and that was an amazing, easy way to actually bring clients into my 6-week program, or even into my one-on-one programs. The second place is, where do they hang out online? Where do they hang out online? So are they in a Facebook group or multiple Facebook groups? Are they on Instagram? Where are they online specifically? Maybe they're in other groups. There's a lot of places that we can be online. I will say that the two biggest places, when we take a look at statistics, there are two main places that people hang out online. And so the ones that are most frequented, number 1 is YouTube, and number 2 is Facebook. Number 1 is YouTube, number 2 is Facebook. So I highly recommend that you take a look at, where might your ideal client be hanging out online, specifically in a Facebook group. And when we talk about Facebook groups, and this is something that I teach inside of Activate Abundance, we're not going in there to poach clients or to go in as a bull and be like, hey, come work with me. We're going into other Facebook groups to be of service. And so an example of this that I'm going to share from my business is, when I was building my health coaching business, I was working with women who also, one of their pain problems was, how did they sleep through the night? And so I went into a Facebook group for women 50 and over. And I just was a normal person in there. I didn't go in saying, hey, I'm a health coach and I can help you. I just began to connect like a real person. I just began to respond to comments and offer support and offer help. I even shared like, hey, you know, one of the things that's helped me sleep through the night is, and I would just give some tips. And then I would even share, you know, hey, by the way, I've got a free handout on how to sleep through the night. I'm happy to share it with you if you want it. That actually got about 50 comments on it of people that were reaching out going, me, I want it. Can you share it with me too? So it wasn't like I had to go in and sell myself. I just got to be a real person and share and serve. And that feels really good. That is an alignment and an integrity with me and the entrepreneur and the person that I want to be, so that I can always lead with service. I get to always lead with service. So think about, what Facebook groups are you in? Are they in? And lead with service. What do they read? What are some books that they love? Yeah, Teresa.
So when you gave that handout in that group,
Uh-huh.
was it, did you have like your contact information on it and about you as a coach? So it was like kind of like a marketing.
Well, so when you,
page?
so whenever you share any type of freebie, you want to have some information on it, even if it's just a website or an email or how someone can get in touch with you. At that time, it was simply a PDF. It was not attached to a landing page. It wasn't attached to, you know, designed to bring people into my email marketing system. I didn't even know how to do that, to be quite honest, at that time. So it was simply sharing, you know, these are my top tips for sleeping through the night. And then I had, you know, an information link where it wasn't even a link that a clickable link. It was just, you know, this is how, you know, people could get in touch with me. if
I
they wanted
I
information.
was just asking that question more from the perspective of, you know, you're in a group and you were saying to be of service, but not to be marketing really. or to
Well,
be
no, marketing is
coaching.
just sharing your message. Marketing is only sharing your message. If you're going to give somebody a freebie because they ask for it, there's nothing wrong with sharing something that has your name and your email address or your website on it. That's not spammy or salesy or anything. That's just saying, you know, I said, I have a freebie that, you know, I've used to help me sleep through the night. If you want it, I'm happy to share. It would
And
look,
so people don't see that as spam or like that you're trying to market or like
no,
sell.
they asked for it.
Okay.
No, not at all. If somebody is going to ask for a freebie, they expect that there's going to be some sort of information on that freebie, right? That I wasn't inviting anybody into a paid offer, but that was my proprietary information. So of course I'm going to put my name on it,
Okay. So
right?
that's really helpful because
Mhm.
I'm sort of afraid sometimes to know where the line is when you're
Mhm.
in a group, because a lot of people I
Mhm.
feel cross the line in groups.
There are people that cross the line, absolutely. So here's what I always recommend. What we're doing with marketing is permission-based. Permission-based marketing is asking permission before we share something. So if we say, hey, happy to share this if you want it, and they say, yes, I want it, that's permission-based marketing. Okay. It's not going into Messenger and, you know, DMing 100 people that you think might be a good fit for your XYZ thing when they don't even know who it is that you are, and spamming that, right? So there's a big difference. And I know that a lot of people cross the line with that, but the way that you can kind of keep it in perspective is if you're asking permission, then, and they say yes, that's fair game. And I don't mean it fair game like, oh, now we're going to go get them. I mean, we're asking permission, right? We're saying, hey, happy to share this if you'd like it. Would you like me to share the link with you? Would you like me to share, you know, the replay with you? I mean, I do that. People that are inside of my Facebook group that I absolutely know are interested in some of the information, I'll just message them and go, hey, day one was yesterday. Would you like the link to the replay? I would be happy to share it with you. And if they say yes, then I'm like, great. Is it okay if I tag you in the replay? That way you can find it easier. That is being of service. That is helping somebody find the information that they need, right? It's not spamming somebody with, you know, a buy my stuff link. Does that make sense, Teresa?
that explanation really helps to define between the two. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
absolutely. That's something that I really go in depth with inside of Activate Abundance, because we do talk about how to actually create a highly engaged Facebook group that we run, but also in the attraction module, how do we do this in a way that doesn't feel gross, right? That doesn't feel like we're just, spamming strangers. You don't want to spam strangers. You don't have to spam strangers. The most important thing when we're doing marketing is that we're visible, we share a message, and we begin to create connections just like real people. So it's okay to ask permission. And when we're asking permission, that actually feels really good to them, and it feels really, really good to us too. Yeah. Awesome. Boy, we're diving into some juicy stuff together. You've got really good questions, Teresa. Even yesterday, they were so good. So please keep asking them. All right. So what do they read? What do they read? Are they into law of attraction? Are they into a different type of spirituality? Are they into nutrition books? Do they read certain blog posts? When I was building my health coaching business, I actually went to the Weston A. Price Foundation a lot. And so I read books by Sally Fallon, and I read books on, oh my gosh, what's his name? Joel is his first name. And he wrote, This Isn't Normal, Folks. It was about farming and organic gardening and things like that. And I knew that my ideal client was also interested in health and wellness that way. So what do they read? There are groups, Facebook groups online too, that might be talking about or sharing, book clubs or different types of book clubs too. So that's going to give you an indication of where she might be. What are their hobbies? Do they knit? Do they garden? Those are two of mine. So you'll find me, in some knitting groups. You'll find me into some fermentation groups. You'll find me in, some organic gardening or growing flower groups. Okay. Or I might even do that as a hobby, right? So if there is a specific yarn store that has experts or somebody coming in, that's something that I might want to do. So is your person crafty? What workshops or seminars do they go to? So that just led right in, like what seminars, what workshops do they go to? Something, at the yoga studio that's like a whole half day of something where they're lowering their stress, or maybe they want to learn about essential oils, or there's so many different things that we do, but we need to ask, who is our ideal client? What are some of the things that she would be interested in learning about? What are some of the things that she would be interested in learning about? Where does she network? One of the things that I knew is that my ideal client as a small business owner and as a solo entrepreneur went to small business networking groups. And so that's where I went to. And I went to networking groups to actually create connections and collaborations. So acupuncturists, chiropractors, naturopaths, integrative doctors, massage therapists, even painters, small businesses there. When you go into a networking group with other small businesses, that is also going to help you get to that 1% connection, right? Real estate agents, there was actually a friend of mine who owned a massage therapy business. And so I did a talk at her massage therapy business, and 2 clients that came to the talk became my clients. So 2 of her clients, she sent out an email to her email list, and they became clients of mine. So where are your people, your ideal client, or even collaboration partners hanging out? Who do they do business with on a regular basis? Are they getting their hair cut? Are they getting massage? Are they getting chiropractic care? Right? These are your collaborators. Who also might cater to this audience? Remember, in this piece and some of these questions, this is about leveraging other people's audiences and getting in those rooms where you may be able to meet your ideal client. So for example, one of the things that I know is that my ideal client also needs help with their messaging. So I collaborate and connect with other branding experts, copywriting experts, marketing experts. I also collaborate with schools that certify in a specific modality. So one of my partners is actually Lauren Sharon, and she certifies coaches to coach people specifically on menopause. So she does the certification, and then I come in and I do some of the business pieces. So who else caters to your audience? And what clubs or organizations could you get in the room with and rub elbows with them? What websites do they visit often or rely upon? Here's a ninja tip. If you are in the health coaching world or nutrition world, definitely take a look at Weston A. Price Foundation or Price Pottinger Foundation or any type of those wellness websites that have chapters or that allow chapter leaders. That was another thing that I was able to do is there was no chapter leader in my area with the Weston A. Price Foundation. So I started my own chapter, which all that meant was that I needed to provide a list of farms that, sold organic goods and, be able to give people information that way. And in return, they would actually promote any workshop that I did locally. They also put me up on their website when I shared recipes and things like that. Again, my background as a functional nutritional health coach and functional nutritional therapy practitioner. So if you go to the Weston A. Price Foundation and pop in Christine Williams, you'll see some recipes for some beet kvass and sourdough bread and some other cool stuff. What podcasts do they listen to? If they're listening to a specific podcast, you want to see if you can get on that podcast so that you can be visible to their audience. What personal clubs or professional organizations do they belong to? Are they part of a local networking group? Yeah. And then who might have a list of these people? Who might have a list of any of these people? So maybe you want to, again, if you're working with women that are overwhelmed, Teresa, you might want to, research podcasts that speak on that topic, and you can just Google that. There are hundreds and thousands of podcasts right now. And it is an easy way for you to share your zone of genius and get in front of somebody else's audience. There's also YouTube channels and YouTube interviews. So there's multiple ways where you can get in front of your ideal client but you need to know, what do they listen to? What websites do they go to? What books do they read so that you can get into those rooms? Does that make sense? Is this landing for everybody? Yeah, cool. Are you seeing the potential and the opportunity to 10x where you can find your clients just by answering these questions? Yeah. I want to stop this share for now because tomorrow we're actually going to talk about how to share and understand what it is that they want. But for today, for the rest of our time together, I want to kind of unpack this a little bit more and answer any questions that you might have around, helping you fill in some of the answers to these questions. So who has some questions that they would like my support around, specifically where to find your client, whether it's personal connections, 1%, community connections, or universal connections? Happy to help you.
I've had the idea to find out about co-producing a Brain Injury Association of Missouri conference locally,
Yeah.
since they have them in South, East, and West regions, 3 out of 4 times per year, and maybe the Fulton or Columbia area could host one for the winter.
Absolutely. So who would you want to reach out to for that page? That is going to be the person that you want to write down. If we start thinking about, and look, when I know this can be overwhelming, you don't need hundreds of places to go to. You absolutely don't. You just need a few, like 5 to 10. Like that's it. That's it. I had about 5 collaboration partners that would refer clients to me over and over and over again. And I didn't need more than that. That kept me busy. It kept my books full. So that was in the lever of who was going to help me get in front of my ideal client.
I'm looking for connections with discharge planners from the local and regional rehab centers, and that would be a good fit for my group program.
Absolutely, Paige. That's a great idea. Fantastic. Yeah.
And I can also connect with the coordinators for the other conferences and
Mhm.
find out what's worked for them and how they did it.
Beautiful. Love it. Yeah.
Chris,
Yeah.
it's
Tavia.
Tavi here. Yeah, as the holiday season's coming up, one of the things that I was thinking about is capitalizing on some of these like bazaars and some of these things, that are going on right now. I
Absolutely.
don't know. I don't think I've done one for my practice, my health coaching or anything yet. And I was thinking about doing it, and I was just like, if you had any good tips or tricks or anything, if you've done one in the past, I'm curious around that.
Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I just supported a client in this last week. So this is perfect timing on this. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So she's a health coach and she also does a little bit of gluten-free baking on the side. And she was like, I don't
Okay.
know, should I do the harvest, event? And I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Go. And, when you're doing you can just promote your, a handout. This is what I recommend. Whenever you do any type of event like that, you want to make sure that you have a way to give value. So what could you
Right.
give them? We're actually going to dive into that tomorrow to come up with highly converting, valuable freebies that your people actually want. So giving them value in exchange for their email address, or even inviting them to, enter a raffle so that you can give
Yeah.
away, an assessment or, something around those lines, right? What we don't want to do is say, hey, just give me your name and email address and so I can get you on the newsletter. Nobody
Right.
wants more email. Nobody wants more newsletters, but they may want the how to go gluten-free handout, right? They may want to understand, something specific. And again, I don't know who your ideal client is, Tavi. So I'm just kind of pulling things out of thin air right now with ideas that I've
Yeah.
shared with my clients, but
Yeah.
raffling off something that they would want that's valuable.
Yeah.
So you can then have a way to serve them and then also let them walk away with something that they could refer to over and over and over again. And we're going to
Yeah.
talk about what makes a good freebie and what makes freebies that suck, because we don't want to give away the ones that suck, right? We only
Yeah.
want to create ones that are actually going to be high converting, that people actually want.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
am with you on that, because I know one of the things that I've learned is people don't need more information,
Mm-mm.
right? We don't need more information. They don't need to be bombarded. So, so that's where I was like, if I had a booth or something, I don't want to just give out information. I want to get something of value. So that's what I was, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we're giving out information, the thing is that this is what I think about. I think about chocolate and broccoli, right? And again, as a functional nutritional therapist, they're asking for the chocolate. But what ends up happening as a health coach, we give them the broccoli, or as a nutrition coach, we're giving them the broccoli. They don't want the broccoli. They want the chocolate, right? So
Right.
lead with chocolate, lead with a solution to a pain problem.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that you're not going to give them the broccoli. You can still give them the broccoli, but you want to lead with chocolate. And chocolate is going to be something that they absolutely want. That's an easy yes for them. So if you specialize in gut health, or, there may be something that would be really amazing that they would want is, these are the top 10 foods you can start eating now or to put on your plate to improve your gut health. Well, that would be something that I could take away. If I'm struggling with gut health, I'm absolutely going to do that. Guess what? I'm going to refer to it. I'm going to use it. I'm going to take a look at it. Your name is going to be there. And so you're going to be front of mind, right? So we want to think about how can we help solve a problem with chocolate? And then later the broccoli comes, right? When somebody is working with you, then we can actually start sharing how important broccoli is. But
Yeah.
Or broccoli with dark chocolate fondue.
yeah.
Dip it in. Yeah. Because
Go ahead.
yeah, thank you for that. Because one of my downfalls is I want to give away everything, because I'm just, we're so full of information, or so full of all this stuff, and I'm like, bleh, and I want to
Yeah.
spew it all over. So I've been working on that, holding it back and just giving them a taste of the chocolate.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely some sort of assessment. People like assessments or quizzes or, something along that line.
Okay.
Yeah, but I would get a table. I would have information that you can share about who it is that you are, what it is that you do, and the results that
Yeah.
people get by working with you, like whether they're case studies or, client testimonials or anything, that
Yeah.
would be visually appealing. Food always works good. So,
Yeah.
gluten-free cookies or healthy
Yeah.
something that,
Good idea.
because so that they don't think like, oh, you're a health coach, you're going to tell me that all I have to do is eat broccoli all the time, or, I'm going to have to give up my cookies. What if you could be healthy and have your cookies too? Well, you
Yeah.
get some healthy cookies and maybe even give them a recipe for the cookie.
Mm,
Just
good
idea.
idea. Oh yeah, it's a good idea. Or we could do like little baggies with a gluten-free cookie and like a recipe with them. It's a good idea.
Yeah, with your card
Versus-
in it. And before
Yeah.
they take that away, they enter to win the raffle with you
Ooh,
for a
I like that
specific,
idea. Yeah.
assessment session.
That's a great idea. One of my favorite things I like to give is like little energy balls too.
Mm-hmm.
Those I make those a lot. Those would be even easier than cookies because they're
Yeah.
okay. Awesome. I want to take up more time.
No, you're good. Well, thank you. I mean, again, the answer is always in the room here. So whenever we share, whenever you guys ask questions, it opens up so much juiciness for other people to get ideas. So I guarantee you that there is more than one person who got benefit out of that question. Teresa was like, yay.
I know. Tracy,
People
thank you.
survive the holidays. Yeah.
You
No, I was
said I
gonna
think
say too, as a fellow health coach, like I'm going out of my comfort zone. And like before COVID hit, I had just started to I do essential oils as well as my health coaching business. So I'm always looking for ways to bring the essential oils into the overall.
Mhm.
Not everybody wants essential oils, but I mean, it's such gold that I always want to like bring it into everything. So once COVID hit, I kind of got out of the practice. I had just gotten started at like doing some live group sessions and little events and stuff. And so I'm finally like going out of my comfort zone and I'm doing an event that's not a doTERRA event, but it's like health and wellness. And it ties together like the book that I'm writing and the essential oils, and it's it's serving my client, which I did a lot of work on that since yesterday, by the way.
Yay.
The woman who like going into the holidays, like, it's speaking to, the woman which we're all burned out, and, not giving enough time for ourselves. So it brings together like my whole philosophy of like the 10-minute mindset around self-care and like what a huge impact that can have on your health and transformation. And I'm using the essential oils and I'm doing like a make and take event.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I haven't settled on the venue yet, but like I put it out there on Facebook and I had a lot of people locally offering, hey, come talk to me. And I ended up like with this, like a handful of probably 5 places that I'm going to go and talk about. Well, first of all, how much they're going to rent it to me for, but it's all places where I go and do business.
Yeah.
Their clients could potentially become my clients, but we're all like-minded individuals. We're
Yeah.
all going to the yoga studio, right,
Yes.
for our self-care.
Yes.
We're all going to the Goddess I Am place where we buy our crystals and do meditations. We're
Yes.
all going to like my sacred alignment group where we all gather on Fridays to like talk about, light downloads and all the rest of that stuff. So any of these places would be great. And these are like new connections for me. And so it gives me an opportunity to connect with the people that are going there and also to leave them with, we're going to do a bunch of like make and takes using the oils and create like self-care rituals.
Yes.
So they'll leave with something of value, for
Mhm.
taking care of themselves. And then, handouts on like DIY that they can do at home themselves. And then, gives me the opportunity to give them information on me and gather some of their
Mhm,
information.
mhm.
And it's fun. And it's fun. And like, who doesn't want to beat burnout? You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's so fun. And that's something that I guys, want to just remind you guys that this gets to be fun. It gets to be fun, right? I don't dance on TikTok. I don't lip sync on Instagram. I don't do that. I'm a no for that. You won't see me do that because it's not fun for me, right? This is fun for me. Being in rooms here, teaching, sharing, giving value, doing talks, whether it's in person or online, like that's fun for me. Connecting with others and giving value in their community and having them come and give value in my community, that's fun for me. And so you get to choose marketing yourself in a way that feels fun. right? So we need to have a marketing system that allows you to share your message in a way that feels fun, and also a way that you can actually have sales, because we don't make sales in our business. We have an expensive hobby. We don't actually have a real business. And we need those two things. So we need to know where our ideal client is, where do we find them, how do we share our message, and then how do we invite people to work with us in a way that feels really, really good. It gets to be fun. It doesn't have to be so hard. For sure. I love those ideas, Christina. I'm Christine. You're Christina. We've got another Christine here. This is like the room full of Christines. Amazing. Yeah. One other idea, since you are in the essential oils world, I actually went into essential oil group, and they asked me to do Wellness Wednesdays. So I shared more lifestyle or health tips to that community. And so that was awesome for me to be able to do that. Another thing that I did is a vice president inside of Arbonne. She just happened, right? This is how the universe works. She just happened to come into my massage therapy studio when I was doing massage and growing my health coaching and nutrition. And I did a talk for her group so that they could be more balanced, more harmonious, more healthy, more energized, because when they were feeling that way, that would only benefit her team. That would only help them with their own health and wellness, which meant that they were going to have more energy to build and grow her business or their business underneath her downline. So again, think about, what is your ideal client doing? Where is she going? How can you connect and collaborate that way? Yeah, so many ideas. Does everybody have at least 1, 2, or even 3 ideas on where you could find your ideal client? Yeah. Cool. Teresa, yeah, question.
I had a question. So I love this idea of really like focusing on how to be of service in the holidays, as I put into the group chat there. And everything that you've been talking about is about more collaborating with other people, right? Like getting in front of their groups. But let's say, for example, that I would like to start doing my like own online talks like you do.
Yeah,
How do you
absolutely.
actually get started with that if you don't really actually have a following so much yet? Like, how do you build that?
Yeah, that is actually what I teach inside of Activate Abundance. So that is, I can't kind of go in depth on exactly what you do, but you do want to build an audience. The way that we do it is we actually do it in our Facebook groups. Why? Because YouTube, Facebook, right? We know our ideal client is hanging out on Facebook because the 2 main places that people hang out are on YouTube and Facebook. And so that is, it's just more information that I could possibly teach you right now, Teresa, on actually how to do that. But yeah, we would do that. The way that I teach my clients is that we do it on Facebook, and I teach people how to do exactly what it is that I'm doing right now. You know, whether you want to do it online, which again is what we do for ourselves, right? We begin to build our own audience and our own following and our own community that we can deliver and serve and give value to, right? And then we also can leverage other people's audiences as well, and either do it in person or online. There's so many different ways that can happen.
So I think like you can take these principles of like reaching out to, say, like a yoga store, or I mean a yoga facility. You could do the same thing, find a collaborator online where you can start to promote for your own like online seminar or workshop.
Absolutely.
Okay.
For sure. So that's when I want you to think about who would serve your ideal client, Teresa, in a different way that also would have an audience, right? So now for you, now you can absolutely do it on your own. And I highly recommend, you have to start building your own audience, like that. It's just something that you need to do in this day and age. And when I talk about building an audience, we're talking about building an audience in 2 places. One is email. The other one is for me, what I teach is on Facebook. Why? Because Facebook owns Facebook, Instagram owns Instagram, LinkedIn owns LinkedIn. They own those lists. You don't. So we always want to have people on our email list because you own your list. But those are the 2 places that you start. And again, if your person isn't on Facebook, which I doubt, because they're, again, YouTube or Facebook, then you can absolutely go someplace else. But what I know is the quickest way to build know, like, trust the quickest way to give somebody an experience of you. And again, nobody's going to buy or want to work with you if they don't have an experience of you, if they don't trust you, if they don't see value in what it is that you're teaching them. So being able to do that and build an audience on Facebook is highly effective. And then you can also then, once you start, and look, it doesn't have to be tens of thousands either. You know, I created $1 million in my business in 3 years with a Facebook group of $1,000 or less, or 1,000 people or less. My clients, you know, have somewhere between 200, 500 and above people in their Facebook groups, but you can absolutely do that very, very quickly. Yes. Lucy, how are you?
So I like that approach, and I've heard it before, but I've never really known how to approach people, how to approach sort of the owner of a group or a community
Yeah.
group or whatever on Facebook or in person or even on podcasts for them to know, because they would have to know, I would think, quite a bit about you before they would invite you to collaborate together, or
Not necessarily. It's not that they need to know you intimately. As a matter of fact, you know, when was it? Last month or a couple months ago, I reached out to an influencer, somebody who I followed that I liked. Again, I had been following her for a while. She was a coach for coaches, but she actually teaches them social media, specifically for Instagram. And I know that she has in her audience coaches specifically. And I just reached out to her and I said, hey, I'm a business coach. We have the very similar ideal client. I would love to share on your podcast, the specific method that I have, which was called the Nurture Method. And I would love to invite you into my community as well, because I think the information that you're sharing online would certainly benefit my people. Would you be interested in connecting? Would you be interested in creating a collaboration?
okay. And do you think that
Mhm.
you would need to have, though, a certain following for them to?
Some yes, and some no. It just depends on the person. With
Okay,
her, she never even asked me what my following was. She was just like, yes, absolutely. Let's connect. Why? Because we all, the people that you want to work with are going to be the people that want to connect and collaborate and that believe in the generosity game, right?
right.
And that's what I choose. I choose to play the generosity game. I choose to get in the room and help, people have more visibility in my community. And in turn, they also want to help me have more visibility inside of their community too.
Okay.
So some are going to say, well, what's your email list? And some might even say, well, I really don't do that. That's okay. But there are lots of people out there that are more than happy to have you come into their community. And more importantly, you want to see how could you help them get more exposure? Because no matter where you are, I guarantee you, no matter if you're making $1 million or multi-million dollars, you're still looking for where your ideal client is and how you can get in front of them, right? Marketing never is going to stop. And if you can even say, and look, this is how I went to collaboration partners. Hey, I'm a health coach. I would love to know a little bit more about your business so I know who to refer to you.
Okay.
Well, now we start with what can we do for them, right? What can we do for them? Who do you work with? Who would you like me to refer to you? And would you be interested in a collaboration?
Mhm. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, these are such good questions. It's just that they are such giant questions that it's really hard for me to just answer in the short amount of time that we have. I'm not trying to be vague at all. It's just there's a whole strategy behind that, and I teach that inside of Activate Abundance, and it's very, very specific. So we have a specific system that I take people through for that. Yeah, but great questions. I hope that was helpful, Lucy. Did that help a little bit? Yeah, cool. You don't need to, and honestly, I just started by emails, like a personal email or a personal message. That was it. Like I didn't have like this giant speaker sheet or, all of this, social proof. Like I just said, hey, this is what I am. I would love to connect with you. I see that you're doing this. Is there a way for us to connect and collaborate together? It was as simple as that. And she has a following of over 22,000 people on Instagram. And she actually used it, which was really funny. She actually used me as an example because she's like, you know what? Chris just sent me this simple few sentence email on what it is that she does and what it is that she would like to connect with. And I didn't have to read this whole thing. And she said, you know, that is what really excited her about wanting to connect, is that it was simple, it was easy. I made it easy for her to say yes. Yeah. Cool. Any other questions coming up on where specifically to find your ideal client?
Chris, do any of the professionals you've worked with, have they worked with brain injury survivors?
You know, that's a really good question, Paige. And I'm so excited that you asked me that, because you're a perfect example right now of reaching out to a 1% connection to see if I know anybody. You know what? I don't know if she has worked specifically with brain injury, but I do have a client of mine who is a healing touch energy worker, and she is a holistic nurse, and she's worked with cancer patients. So as a holistic nurse, it's very possible that she has also worked with brain injury. I would be happy to put you guys together so that you could connect.
Thanks. And functional nutrition is also a branch of what I offer, since it's what put my anxiety into permanent remission and got me off pharmaceuticals.
Fantastic. Yes. Okay. Fantastic. So one of the things that I am going to invite you to do, Paige, is inside of the Facebook group, inside of Build a Six-Figure Business for Conscious Coaches and Wellness Professionals, create a post. Hey, who here works with women or men or people that are overcoming traumatic brain injury? I would love to connect and collaborate with you so that you can just like put it out there. And that is something that I welcome inside of my Facebook group. I want you guys to create connections. So any of you guys here that are in functional nutrition, Paige just said that's something that she used. So I want you to hear that this is another opportunity. We know that brain health is super, super important, and nutrition plays a big part of it. So this is such a good example, Paige, of you being in the room, asking connection, leveraging an audience here, and then getting referrals with potential collaborators. Thank you so much for asking it. What a great example. Yeah, was that helpful for you, Paige?
Yeah.
Okay, I will connect you personally with this client via Facebook. I'll just put you guys together in Messenger. How's that? And just say, hey, thought you guys might want to connect.
Yeah. Sounds
Okay.
good.
Amazing. Awesome. Cool, cool. Oh my gosh. And we also have Christine. So Christine Hoffman here. Christine Hoffman is a registered dietitian. So you guys might want to get together. So Christine and Paige connect with each other, because that there might be, and she's a nurse as well. So she might actually have support to connect you with brain injury. Right? Doesn't hurt to ask. Awesome. Any other questions before we pop off for today? Yes, Courtney.
I'm looking into starting a Facebook group
Mhm.
and I haven't really whittled it down, but something you and I had kind of talked about in Chicago, but for performers, kind of a place for celebrations and struggle. I'm excited about it, and I'm glad that it's lighting me up because it's kind of giving me a direction, but I realized I'm worried about feeling like I need to police a group, right? I was watching some of Christina John Dolly's stuff about Facebook groups, and these groups with hundreds of members, and I was like, ooh, I don't know that I want to be the admin of that, making sure no one's fighting. So I'm not sure what I'm asking. I guess maybe something to alleviate that fear that's keeping me from moving forward, or some guidance, or if you know somewhere to go with that, or
yeah. So yeah, you're welcome, Christina. I hope you have a great day. So I have never had a problem with that. And it is all inside of the settings for how you set up your Facebook group.
Okay.
So I don't allow any posts to go up on my page unless I approve them first. So
Okay.
I just set the post to be approved. That way, if somebody's snarky, it doesn't go up and I don't have to worry about it, right?
Okay.
And honestly, it takes me less than 2 seconds. Like I just get a notification in my Facebook group and it'll say, you've got, 6 requests for posts. And then I go in and I check it and I'm like, yes, no, whatever. So you would do that. So you don't necessarily then have to police anything. It's
Okay.
actually just coming across for your approval. Once you're in, look, my group has got 1,300 people in it. It doesn't take me, I don't even have to do that every day. So if you're worried that it's going to take lots of time, it doesn't. But if you get up into the realm of like 22,000, then you're probably going to want to hire a community manager, somebody else to actually take that off your plate for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. You're welcome, Nancy. All right, everybody, we're going to pop off for tonight. Here's what I would love to invite you to take on is make a list of 5 to 10 places based on what it is that we talked about today that you could find your ideal client and decide which one of those you want to follow up with or circle around or implement within the next week. Pick one, whether it's a Facebook group, whether it's reaching out to a collaboration partner, whether it's connecting with a yoga studio, whether it's you doing your own thing, setting up your own Facebook group. Okay, cool. All righty. I will see you guys back here tomorrow. We are diving into more juicy goodness, all about what it is that we do to give value to the people once we're in those rooms so that we can bring them into our ecosystem, right? So it's not enough just to get into the room. We want to give value so that we bring them into our ecosystem so that we can then nurture those connections and relationships and then eventually invite them to work with us. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for being here.